Santa Claus is a fat bitch. It's the Going Off podcast with Rap Critic and Muse. What's going on, Muse? How you doing? How you doing for the holiday season? How's it treating you?
It is the final episode, not only before Crimbus, but it is the last Going Off episode of 2019 and of the decade. And with that, I have but one question. Where are my background singers? Oh my god, darling, you gotta show me that cue card one more time, honey.
That fucking video. My god. Oh man. God damn. And then, do you remember the way that video ended? Did we ever talk about this officially?
See, here's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because the first time I saw it, it ended just when they introduced Bill and Hillary, and that was it. And Bill's whatever, Hillary makes this face like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, and she just hugs Patty. But only recently have I seen the full thing, where she then goes back to the podium, has this book, and she goes, am I supposed to hold up the book and read it or lay it down? Okay, I have to pick it up? Alright. And then she's like introducing another person, and she just goes, it is my pleasure to introduce. No, I'm not singing again. I already tried it once and I blew it. Patty. I blew it. Fucking Patty, it's not your fault. Granted, you did at one point say, I don't know the song. How don't you know the song? You rehearsed it.
I think it's the arrogance of, being a singer for so long. You're just like, oh yeah, they're just going to bring me the thing. And I know the general song, but they're just going to give me the words and we'll be good to go,
Something I thought was interesting too, because I watched with, almost like with captioning. One video pointed out that when the background singers actually do show up on stage way fucking
through
late.
The song.
And Patty she just goes, thank you! And looks back at the camera like, oh my god, fucking finally. They go into this thing, this Christmas will be... Like, they start singing, and she looks over her shoulder at them and looks back at the camera and, has her eyes are wide, because apparently they didn't go over doing that in rehearsal.
Oh my god.
So even the background singers were doing shit she wasn't expecting.
Yeah, didn't they say if you look at the captions, it says, singing out of tune or something like that? Like, in the wrong key?
So, what the fuck, man? I think every time I've watched that video, which might very well be in my top 5 favorite videos I've ever seen in my entire life, because it cracks me the fuck up every time I watch it.
It's a Christmas classic.
I have a different favorite part every time I see it. There's always something that catches me. Like, I love when she's like, I don't know the song, honey, gotta pick the cue cards back up. And she's not even singing the song. They pan the audience, and it's just some confused kid in the audience. What the fuck am I watching?
Okay, who is the cue card person? What are they doing? Does it pan to him at some point?
No. He fucking gets a pass.
Yeah, exactly. Is he just going oh, you want that one? Is he a fucking sloth? What the fuck is taking him so long?
I know we're just recounting a video I'm sure people have seen a million times, but if you haven't, look up Patti LaBelle singing This Christmas at the White House Christmas tree lighting ceremony. I want to say it's 96. It's definitely the mid-90s. It's the last show of the year. And I took some time this week going back through every episode we've done this year and took notes of the ratings we gave the albums, just to see how our opinions varied, how our opinions may have differed. I'm just going to start with how many 5s we gave throughout the year. I gave 1 5.
You cold-hearted motherfucker.
And that was to Denzel Curry's Zoo. Was my only 5 throughout the whole year.
Fucking stone-faced Muse over here.
I gave some 4s, 4.5s, but not 5s. RC, on the other hand, 6.
Woo!
Ferrell the Earthworm, Vanarchy.
Alright.
Got a 5. Lizzo, 'Cause I Love You. Got a 5.
Okay.
Tyler, the Creator, Igor, got a 5.
Absolutely.
Then going down, quite a ways.
Yeah.
Julia Holter, Have You in My Wilderness, got a 5.
All right.
I was just gonna say, do you even remember that?
I can't remember that one. Wait, is that Julia? Is that like a really like weird indie pop one?
Yeah, it was more like, it was almost like dream poppy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That was a mood. You know, it was a whole mood.
And your most recent 2 5s are Cannibal Ox's The Cold Vein, and just last week, Immortal Technique's The Martyr.
Hey.
Now on the flip side of that,
okay,
we started. Oh my god, the first album we reviewed in the year 2019, Persona Non Grata by Urban Dance Squad.
Oh my god. Holy shit! Oh my god!
Which is... we started out the year with a bang, because it's an album I gave a higher rating than you. You gave it a 0, I gave it a 1.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. Nah. No love. Oh my god. Because that one was fucking word salad. It's just like, there's no point in listening to any of the songs, because they all mean nothing.
Which one of my favorite lines to this day, though. You know what I'm gonna say.
The funky demagogue. The funky demagogue.
Oh my god.
Fucking bobbing down the street telling people, you know, to give me half of their money and to hate people of other races. The funky demagogue.
I'm so funky. All your problems are because of that guy. Oh, boogie on this way. Then going down a ways, another 1. Insane Clown Posse's Fearless Fred Fury.
Oh yeah, okay.
I gave that one a higher rating also. I gave it a 2.5, you gave it a 1.
So wait a minute. So when it comes to the bad stuff, I'm meaner to it. And when it comes to the good stuff, I'm nicer to it.
Yeah. I've noticed that because, again, skipping down again, Ugly Duckling, Taste the Flavor.
Oh, no. Fuck that. The worst song. I think that was the,
You said a dirty word. I'm gonna wash your mouth out with soap.
The absolute worst song I've ever heard. And I'm not sure if that whole album was worse, but I know that song is the worst song I've ever heard. And I remember that one being the inappropriate comedy to the whatever the movie 43 or something like that of shitty albums that came out. That we had to
was
review.
that after Sesame Street Gangsta's I Like Fat. That is our lowest rated album because it's the only album we both gave a 0 to. You also gave a 0 to the Yellow album by The Simpsons, but I gave it a 1.
Goddamn.
And you also gave a 1 to 070 Shakes Glitter, which I gave a 3. Going down to the end, though, when it comes down to higher ratings, I gave a higher rating than you did 22 times. You gave a higher rating than I did 34 times. And we ended up giving the same score 16 times. I think in previous years, I've had the reputation for being a hater, you know. But that's not necessarily the case, because there are a lot of times we talk about albums and, you know, I will bring up something that was decent.
Yeah, the data bears out. Look at that. We're not exactly that monolith dynamic or whatever.
But with all that said, we've got very interesting album reviews lined up for you this week. We'll start with Dr. Goatman and his request for the David Bowie self-titled album from 1969, also known as Space Oddity, not that actual first self-titled David Bowie album. I don't think anyone wants to hear any opinions on that, but this is the one that really got people talking. It's the one that got everyone's attention. It has the fucking Space Oddity song on it, which is like, out of all the original run Bowie songs gets like most of the radio play in classic rock stations.
And defines his career, you know, especially the early part anyway.
I can honestly say I don't think I've ever listened to this album the whole way through, and I fuck with some Bowie. We reviewed Black Star.
Yes, we did. Yeah, in fact, that was kind of my introduction to him. And then I remember going back and listening to his, like, first album. I think I was, like, sick that night or something like that. And, because I remember, like, it being... I was just having a really bad night. And I was just listening to his first album and being like, oh my god, this is really good fucking music. I just specifically remember thinking, man, I'm having a crappy day, but at least this music is good. You know, like...
There you go. Creating memories, lasting memories. This album is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Can I just go ahead and get that out of the way first?
Like, I remember...
Yeah.
I remember showing... I actually showed the Space Oddity song to a friend of mine who also wasn't, like, really into Bowie, and I remember asking him, like, what year do you think this came out? And he was like, like, 1980s or something like that, and I was like, no, 1969. I just couldn't fucking believe it. Compared to other, like, rock albums that I just, like, you know, listened to, you know, for the podcast and just, like, on my own just in the last couple of years, like, I remember having the feeling listening to this one, it just feels a lot lighter. Like, there is a lot more focus on, you know, lyricism and, you know, the atmosphere and telling the story than there is on, you know, rocking out and shit, you know what I mean?
I got the opposite opinion.
Really?
His later stuff is focused way more on lyrics. A lot of the songs on this are just kind of like, well, especially, okay, let's just skip, for now, the first track and skip down to Unwashed and Something Slightly Dazed. It's almost, if it didn't have lyrics, it'd pretty much be a fucking jam session.
Well, see, yeah, that one was the more bluesy sort of joint. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But see, I felt like that wasn't like a lot of the rest of the album, right?
It is like the most hard rocky, I think, on the album. Yeah.
And I remember feeling odd about that one compared to the rest because, like, the lyrics on this one are probably the most dense. What does he say? A humorous little ditty about a young man, possibly a member of counterculture, certainly a member of the proletariat, and the cultural gap between him and his respectable middle-class girlfriend. I looked at that and then I looked at the last verse and I was thinking, maybe that'll help illuminate, you know? And it was like, now you run from your window to the porcelain bowl and you're sick from your ears to the red parquet floor and the brack on the wall slides down your front and eats through your belly. It's very catching.
This album, compared to any after it, feels the most, I'm gonna say, personal. Especially because there are, like, at least 2 or 3 tracks on here that are almost directly about either people he knows or an ex-girlfriend. There's 2 songs on here that are explicitly about an ex-girlfriend. But then you got Janine, which is about a friend. Okay, so Bowie has a friend, right? The song is about Bowie's friend's girlfriend and how Bowie doesn't like her very much.
Oh, okay. Janine, you'd like to crash my walls, but if you take an axe to me, you'll kill another man, not me at all. So, like, I didn't take that as, like, dissing her. I thought it was very directly, you know, talking about himself. You know what I mean?
I'm guessing that would be like, if I'm taking that literally, then that would be like, if you were to fucking try to come at me, then it would put more of a strain on, like, my friend to see his best friend and his girlfriend fight than because I'm kind of removed from the situation, so I don't really care what you say about me. But the perception from my fucking friend is like, oh no, these 2 people I really like being around don't like each other. That really sucks.
This is probably very metaphorical, right? Like, it's exposing, like, it's actually cutting down, like, the facade that he puts up and exposing who he really is. The really jam bandy music didn't fit with the lyrics, which felt a lot more, you know, Bob Dylan and pensive and darker, you know what I mean? And
That's true.
I felt like I enjoyed the rest of the album, which was, which felt a lot like, you know, they made Space Oddity, and then they were like, oh, I guess that's my sound now. So I'm gonna do like really weird esoteric stuff for, cause like, didn't they kind of do that back then? It would be like, if you have a big hit single, all right, now you've got to make a couple more songs that sound like that. You know what I mean? Except, his niche was, all right, you're the artsy rock guy, so this is what you're gonna focus on. Because I remember hearing just like parts of the album where, and it didn't feel like it was like, ripping it off or anything like that. It felt like there was like a motif of like just a raising guitar line. You know what I mean? Like in certain songs, you just hear just like some sort of charging up happen, which was happening a lot on Space Oddity. You know what I mean? Like there were lots of parts like that where the song's very open, and then all of a sudden you hear a in the background.
Tony Visconti, who is the producer who produced basically everything else in Bowie's discography. He worked with him for decades. I think he even produced Black Star. Tony Visconti did not produce Space Oddity. Space Oddity was the song that Bowie basically recorded to pitch himself to the label. So that's almost like a pre-album single.
Okay.
That's like, well, it's popular enough, it's getting a lot of attention, let's put it on the album. After that first initial debut album of his, he got dropped from his label. Probably because of lack of sales, I'd imagine, because I don't think he was a very big name.
I mean, do you remember it?
I think the only song that kind of touches Space Oddity in the exact same way or mood would be, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Signet Committee?
Yeah, because that one also uses like interesting sort of studio effects that were probably like just starting to be used at the time by like mainstream artists, because most of them are just like straightforward songs when you hear most songs at the time. But I think that was what was really like clicking with me. It was just like, oh, hey, wait a minute, they're using like echo effects and like it's supposed to sound like weird. You know what I mean? Like they're using those effects as sort of text painting for what the lyrics are about. You know what I mean? And in a very direct way you don't hear a lot up to that point.
And a quote from the description, I think this was from the Wikipedia, commonly regarded as the album track most indicative of the composer's future direction, which, yeah, I would agree. Its lead character is a messianic figure who breaks down barriers for his young followers, but finds that he has only provided them with the means to reject and destroy him.
This is David Bowie.
And is, in a way, a critique of hippie culture at the time and how willing they are to I guess gravitate or blindly follow any sort of leader, almost like a cult type worship.
Okay.
And yeah, you kind of get that from this song, because it's got a fucking beginning, a middle, and an end. And by the end of it, it's just fucking so gloom.
Yeah, I had noticed right around the time where he says like, yay, and we will slit the Catholic throat, stone the poor on slogans such as wish you could hear, love is all we need, and this part especially at the end where he says, for I once read a book in which the lovers were slain, for they knew not the words of the Free State's refrain. It said, I believe in the power of good. I believe in the state of love. I will fight for the right to be right. I will kill for the good of the fight of the right to be right. And like, that was that was the absolute perfect lyric to just sum up like how these sorts of self-righteous messages get screwed up into, being another, weaponized thing for being, better than someone else and dividing people and saying that these people don't deserve da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean?
We gotta fucking talk about Wild-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud.
Oh, wow. Okay, so...
Were you expecting that shit?
No.
What the absolute fuck, dude?
Okay, just to be clear on what's going on in this song. The song's about, like, a guy who's probably like, mentally unsound, like being executed or something like that. Okay, this person is obviously not, of their right mind, and it's not right that this is happening. Like, it's that sort of deal. Because there's one part where I wrote down the lyric, and the magic stare of the wild-eyed boy said, "Stop, Free Cloud, they won't think to cut me down." Which is supposed to be highlighting, like, oh, he doesn't realize what's happening. That's what I figured what was happening, right? And it was just like the sort of like, holy shit. Like, just listening to this unfold, you know what I mean?
Even beyond lyrical content, just the epic orchestration of this track. You don't hear it anywhere else on the album, at least not to this extent, but by the end of it, oh my god.
At that part where he says, like, lies from a solitary sun from the mountain called Free Cloud, like, you could hear, like, wind and, like, the kicking up of the violins, like, it was, like, specifically, like, a flourish that was just like, holy shit, I do not hear this in mainstream rock songs at this time. Like, what in the fuck, you know?
A couple times I got vibes similar to early Elton John, but definitely more intricate lyrics than Elton John. And not to shit on Elton John, because his stuff definitely fits, you know, it has its own purpose, but it's not the exact same.
His writing is more to Bob Dylan, right? It's very pensive, it's very dense, it's very, you know, trying to get you to think about things, but not trying to do it directly.
And I got a very strong Simon and Garfunkel vibe.
I didn't even fucking think.
On God Knows I'm Good.
Absolutely.
This reminds me of a couple songs on early Simon and Garfunkel albums, and it definitely stands out on this album because it's a very straightforward song. There's very little in the way of metaphor, really. It's pretty literal. It's just a woman is in a store and she's trying to steal some food and she thinks she got away with it. And she's like, oh, only God's gonna judge me for this. And I'm sure God will look the other way. And then she gets caught and then she's like, oh, fuck. I guess not. I guess I'm fucked here.
I like the interjection of how the chorus comes in, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think maybe there actually is a message because, again, not a big overt one, but it's there's one point where he mentions, I saw the multitudes of faces, honest, rich, and clean. Specifically mentions, like, that this is a high-class establishment. And then, like, the mention of, this woman trying to steal a steak. Like, I thought maybe there was something about, like, we're in a rich establishment and someone is stealing, like, probably because they don't have any money. That's what I was thinking, And when the chorus comes in and it's like, so I've stolen something, but she's saying to herself, but God knows I'm good. God will look the other way, right? Because, I'm starving. So it's okay that I stole something because I'm actually really hungry. And when it comes to the end of the second verse and, they're taking her away, that's sort of her, like, lament, like, screaming out, like, well, God knows I'm good. I'm not a bad person for stealing. Like, God knows I'm good, right?
The only song on here I didn't particularly care for was the last one.
That was the one that felt the most like a, like, just straight up Beatles song with the, circa the, na 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 na, or what's the other one?
Especially because it repeats so much by the end.
Yeah. Isn't there a song about a fat old son or something like that? This kind of, like, it just felt that way. I think it's specifically because the lyric is, the sun machine is coming down and we're gonna have a party. And it just feels like, this doesn't feel related to anything that was just happening.
No, not really. Because he's so young here, and there's fucking songs about your goddamn girlfriend on here, dude. The fuck you doing, my dude? I just get the feeling that this is just like, hey, I got my big break. I'm on a big label because of that song. It got everyone's attention. I'm just gonna put all the songs I've been writing on here, and they might not be connected in any sort of way, but I'm just gonna get all of it out there and see what sticks. And unfortunately, none of it did, except for the song that got him on the label in the first place, which I'm sure didn't look good initially. They fucking thought Janine, of all songs on this album, was gonna be the follow-up hit, and it just didn't work.
Look, it was one of those things where they were like, we don't know what's making this popular, but the first time it worked, we're gonna throw the money at it and see if it works. Like, that's how these labels work,
I guess just looking at the tracks, it was probably the only song on here that wasn't too long to be a single, for one. Because there's a couple songs in here, like, isn't Unwashed and Something Slightly Dazed like 7 minutes?
Yeah, okay. And then there was that little...
including Don't Sit Down.
Yeah.
He's just kind of fucking around. There's a lot of what other people are doing stylistically.
He definitely brings his own flavor to it, you know?
That's the thing. It's all different. It's all things that other people are doing, but his way. Overall, I got a 4. How about you?
You know, I give it a 4.5. Other than the songs that felt odd and threw me off, like track 2, like they were all, I believe, like brilliant, just like awesomely written. They were a great, like, it was cool to just experience them, you know what I mean? Like to just listen to them. But yeah, just the 1 or 2 moments where it was just like, oh, that just sounds like the Beatles, like the last song, or oh, why this isn't the style that I was just listening to. Just stick with the style that you were doing, you know?
In addition, we've got an album by Tori Kelly.
Very special thank you to Daniel Greenberg for your request, Inspired by True Events by Tori Kelly.
Tori Kelly, I guess, was a bigger name a few years ago, or people thought, like, she was onto, like, you know, she had a lot of potential, a lot of promise, and then just kind of fell off.
Was she like on a singing reality show or something? Was she on The Voice or some shit?
I couldn't tell you that. I think if she was, she probably wouldn't fare that well.
Oh, wait, hold on. Is it about to happen?
I'm not saying she sounds terrible. I'm just saying a lot of it's just kind of a middle-of-the-road performance for me.
Uh-oh, okay. We gonna have... Because I was rocking with it. The fucking first lyric of this album... Come on, man. The fucking... Okay, so we go from one wordsmith in David Bowie.
Yeah.
To another with the first joint, Coffee. Because, again, you know, I had these albums on a playlist, so I went right from one to the other. And it's just like, the verbose lyricism of David Bowie. And then the very first lyric is like, on this album is, I envy the cup of coffee that kisses you in the morning. The pillow that caresses your cheek when you're tired and yawning. I'm jealous of the steering wheel you wrap your hands around. And it was just like immediately the sort of singer-songwriter, like, I'm gonna write the shit out of this. You know, it's just that perfect, like, I'm gonna encapsulate the shit out of this feeling right now. I'm sorry. I was with it. Maybe I got a soft spot for the classic singer-songwriter sort of, you know, lyricism like that, but she caught me with this one.
I wasn't wildly impressed.
Really? You weren't feeling it? Oh, no.
Not really. I thought it was fine.
I was having such a good... You know what it is? This felt like a very classic type of album. Right? You know, it's like, I'm going to talk about this emotion, and I got to talk about this emotion. The album's called, you know, Inspired by True Events. On the actual album, there's, you know, clips of what sounds like her actual, like, you know, home movies and shit like that from when she was a kid.
I didn't need those.
I thought it was a little long, but actually...
Some of them were, yeah.
Yeah, the second one went on a little long. Like, it was kind of like, we got the point. She wants to wear a bikini and sing. Is this like social commentary or something?
If these are in fact your real home movies, Tori Kelly, I just gotta point out how weird and off-putting and creepy the dad sounds in the first clip.
Yeah, okay, so
where he's videotaping her in a camcorder.
She likes looking at Daddy. That's what she likes.
That's why right now Daddy looks like a video camera.
No, she can see through this because she knows that I love her.
I think,
who says that, you weirdo?
It's one of I think it's one of those, like, oh, I'm jokey, but it was just kind of, like, said slightly too, like, as if he believed it.
Yeah, I kind of want to believe that these are, like, better acted skits than we've heard on recent albums. Like,
everybody wants to tell us about their fucking family, goddamn.
It's my family, quote unquote, but it's really just, like, actors or whatever, and that there really isn't home movies with her dad sounding like a weirdo.
Well, you know, I was just thinking about this. Like, okay, so the second skit, like, you know, she's like, you hear her as a kid, she's like, I'm a kid, and I'm gonna sing in a bikini to show how, like, strong I am that I'm singing in a bikini.
It's not like I included him in the final rating, but I would be lying if I said I didn't skip over them after the first couple.
Well, because I do feel like the skits are related to the songs.
Yeah.
Right? Because it would be like, oh, hey, that actually did, like, relate to the emotion that she was trying to go for. But like you said, like, it's just like, get to the point a little quicker. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like these songs are lyrically or conceptually that complex.
Yeah, well, okay, yes.
It's not like, oh man, I wouldn't get what this song is about if I didn't have this skit informing me about it beforehand. Like,
actually,
I could pick it up pretty quick.
You're absolutely right. This is what was rubbing against me. It's like, these songs are so, and I'm not saying this to be like a diss, but like, they're so like, you know, kind of normal in terms of like what they are. Like, they're not so complex. Like, it's not like a Brockhampton song where you're like, wait, what's he talking about? Like, it's laying out a very clear emotion that is supposed to be hitting the universality of what everyone goes through. Like, oh, I miss my childhood. That's something everyone goes through. Oh, you know, I'm in love with this guy. That's what everyone goes through. Oh, I really miss this person.
By the way, real quick, we need to do this on the fucking show. Fuck it, we're doing it live. I have had this song stuck in my head for, and I'm not exaggerating, like 2 weeks, okay? And I haven't been able to figure out what song it is, but
yeah,
whenever...
he was trying to text me the
the vocalization.
And you know, I tried to figure out what it was.
You did, but we'll get to that in a sec. And for whatever reason, my mind always goes to We Belong Together by Mariah Carey, and that's not it.
Okay.
The vocalization, and I'm pretty sure that it's at the very beginning of the song, is someone going...
That's Your Love by Nicki Minaj.
No,
Look
it's
it
a
up.
sample.
Oh, you mean
It's
the sample
older than
of
that.
it? Yeah, okay, so the sample of it, I actually found that too. So for my station head show,
Yay, here we go, because I need that. I need it.
I have a sample show where I do we play the original song in the sample and sort of like, and sometimes I do like sample chains where it's like, oh, this song actually also sampled it too, but you know, it sampled another part, so you can hear like, you know, the different parts and shit. And I was just like listening, and then I just heard the and it was just like, wait, but this isn't Nicki Minaj.
Fucking okay, look. Can I just say, I heard a song on the radio today by Annie Lennox, and I thought to myself,
you found it?
Could that be? Could that be the person? It's not the song, though. Goddamn Annie Lennox!
Annie Lennox,
Fuck!
No More I Love Yous.
Oh.
It hits you, right? It's like,
My soul is at peace. I no longer walk this spectral plane. My ghost can finally rest in peace. For I have heard the vocalization at the beginning of No More I Love Yous by Annie Lennox from 1995. Moving back to this album. Oh man, you have no idea. Ooh, the weight that's been lifted off my shoulders. Okay.
Had to go off. I was actually watching an Adam Ruins Everything episode where they had mentioned that, like, they were talking about earworms and how, like, the reason why they happen is because it's like your brain wants to complete it because there's part of it that you're not hearing and it's trying to figure it out. So it's like, when you play the song, it completes it. So you're like, oh, okay.
That's it. Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah.
I remember times when I was a kid where, like, I would be rapping something or something like that, and there would be, like, a certain line, and I didn't know where the line led to, and it would just, like, lead back to the first couplet of the line.
Oh, I hate that.
So my brain would just, like, be rapping it, and I would just be like, it feels like that sounds right. It sounds right that repeats, but that can't be it.
That can't be it. I know it's not, though. So I'm trying to think. I was more hit, I'm gonna say, by the instrumentals on the album than Tori Kelly herself. I think she sounded okay, as far as like the vocal performance. I just wasn't blown away by the vocal performances.
I'll put it to you like this. I feel like this person is a great, like, singles artist in the sense that if you heard any one of these singles on the radio, you'd be like, holy shit, the fucking radio is, like, playing some better music. We got some people who, you know how to fucking sing, know how to swing a tune, but there is the personality that feels like it's being injected with these skits. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily on the songs themselves, because the songs themselves are these perfect pop packages, which I think are good. I think they're good pop packages, but yeah, it is a sort of like, you know, the best Britney Spears album still isn't going to tell me that much about Britney Spears, you know?
I don't really know what else to say, per se. I guess I would say my highest rated song on the album was Until I Think of You. That's my favorite one. With the lush, full backing choir and the fucking instrumentation on that one I thought was beautiful. The piano instrumental with the strings that coming in towards the end. My least favorite was Change Your Mind. I thought that was kind of meh. Oh, and Actress.
I really liked Actress. I enjoyed that one. Again, I feel like... okay, so remember what I said to you about, like, these are all cool pop packages in and of themselves. I feel like a song like, was it Until I Think of You? Even though I felt like that song still did its job well, and I still enjoyed it, it still felt to me like that should have been the emotional core of the album, and it wasn't as emotionally gripping as someone else who would be making this type of song. You know what I'm saying? Again, like, functionally, it's a great, like, it works cool as a song, but I do feel like the average person listening to an album of this, it's like they wouldn't be getting the personality of who this is. I couldn't see someone listening to this and saying, I didn't enjoy this, but I could see someone listening to this and saying, that was cool. I'm probably not gonna like Google her and follow her on Twitter and be like, oh my God, you know, my high school life is going to be defined by this person. You know what I mean? It is proficient and actually does its job, but you should have gone all the fucking way, because it's just like, I mean, hey, who it hits is who it hits. So if it works, it works. And I don't want to give any, and like, I don't want this to in any way sound like backhanded praise, because like for my money, I actually really enjoyed a lot of the harmonies and vocalizations. I thought they were really like bright and cool in a way that I really don't think I hear that much in pop songs. So maybe that's why it does hit me so much. Like maybe 10 years ago, if we were living in like, you know, a world inhabited by Mariah Carey's and the like, and Christina Aguilera's and the like this actually might sound more plain. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's because we're in a world where like people are relying more on just, you know, vocalizers and things like that. And it's like, there's a very clear like showing that she's not. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that just catches my ear about this album, because it very much does not sound like it came out in 2019, you know, you got to sound like a Katy Perry or a maybe a Halsey, you know, to have like a hit right now. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not to say that, you know, the Alessia Cara sort of stripped down sound is bad, but it's just like it's not bad, but it allows for, you know, you to make a song that doesn't have as much musical depth to it. Now
that you remind me that this came out this year, man, that hurts it in my eyes even more. Like,
you think that makes it more dated?
It sounds a bit throwbacky in that regard. Yeah, like this sounds like it would have worked in like maybe like 90s R&B. Would have got overshadowed even then because there's more personality and there's like, I don't know, I guess poppier cuts. This album is like a fine cake, but it's like a wedding cake, but like it's like a one color, no frills wedding cake. Like it's pretty, and you know, it gets the job done. It sits in the freezer as it does, but yeah, not a lot of decoration, kind of plain to look at, i.e. to listen to. I came up with a 3.5 for me.
I give it a 4. God damn it.
I thought you were gonna say 5. Ooh, my dude, you had me sweating. 4 is okay.
No, I was just talking. I was again referring to our.
I knew you were gonna rate it higher.
Yeah, but
I had no doubt in my mind.
But and you know, look, I will admit I'm more of a just vocal person, so I like hearing the runs and shit that sounds clean. And see, that is one thing. There is one hand where it is that throwback of like, oh yeah, this kind of sounds maybe outdated, or not outdated, just like not with the sound that is right now, but that can be cool in and of itself, right? Not everything, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Adele, you know, fucking switched up the game when she came on the scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's not that necessarily that's bad, but yeah, there is definitely something that Adele did to make herself stand out in that time, as opposed to, like, yeah, you can't necessarily say that she just sounded like, you know, Jessica Simpson, a la, you know, 2001 or anything like that. No, she has her own sort of distinct style, and it feels like with this, it feels like someone, you know, unearthed what makes a really good, you know, 90s R&B album and made that today, and it still sounds good, because if you have a talented singer and all that stuff, it's still gonna sound good. But yeah, there is a bit of the flavor of individuality that is missing to the person that feels like it's being made up for with the super personal skits, you know.
Adele really did raise that bar an unfair amount, didn't she?
Yes, very much so.
Like, come on, man. Like,
you gotta be rawer than that.
yeah, that's asking a lot from everyone else. You're making everyone else look bad. But not to say there isn't the talent out there. It's just normally you don't find it on the radio because it usually isn't the poppier stuff.
And that's why you need to head over to my station.
Whoa!
In
Whoa!
fact,
That fucking seg. That segue.
oh yeah, you like
Mwah!
it? I'm working on my my marketing, my
chef's
brand
kiss.
building.
No,
but just I'm gonna be doing you know, lots of people have been talking about like, oh, you know, best songs of the decade and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna be doing my own station head, you know, broadcast where I'm gonna be playing my favorite songs from you know, different years of the decade, starting with like 2010. So you know, keep an ear out for when I'm doing those shows as well as other stuff. And of course I'm going to be premiering the, you know, 2019 list as we go into the new year, you know, once all the songs are done. Oh, and I'll be posting the song lists on my Patreon when I'm done with them. It'll be free to view, so you could just, like, after the show, you can just go there and see, like, oh, hey, what did he think of 2010, you know? And cool. The way I tried to do the criteria was, like, going by, so, you know, I went through, like, you know, Wikipedia and just went through, like, every year and, you know, through every album and was like, all right, was this good? Is this whack? Is this, you know, and I picked the songs that I was like, which song would you, you know, want to show someone that you know would get them into this artist? You know what I mean? Like, that's how I tried to base it. So not just like, oh, the best song, but which song would be like, nah, you gotta check this guy out because of this. You know what I'm saying? That's how I tried to do the criteria. So, yeah, hopefully I got you know, got a pretty comprehensive list. I tried to do, like, you know, the big singles as well as songs that are just like, just in general, halfway through the sentence, I would just wanted to say, like, just how I felt about doing my station head thing in general. Like, I just like doing where a show where I can be like, hey, I'm going to play a big hit single, and then afterwards I'm going to play a song that, like, you would have never heard because it's on the album, and no one ever plays, you know, album singles unless it's like 30 years later, and, you know, everyone loves the album, so sure, they'll play, you know, another single from the album. So, like, I like doing that with this list as well. Like, yeah, I'm going to put, you know, the big hit singles that were really dope, but I also like putting, you know, the other cuts on there that are like, holy shit, this should have been a single, because, you know what I mean?
With all that said, we want to thank you very, very much for checking us out this week, and just checking us out this year, sticking with us through all of 2019. We hope to have another great year in 2020. No stopping, no end in sight.
Ain't no stopping us now.
If this just happens to be the first time you're listening to our show, all of our old episodes are on Spotify. So if you're not listening to us on there now, if you're listening to us on maybe YouTube or SoundCloud, that's possible. Make sure you're following us on Spotify, because that's the only place where you're going to hear all of our songs in one place, and you could follow us so you never miss a new episode. All our songs, all our great hits.
Yeah, you know, like, hey, going off, and fuck the Donald.
This is either spoiling a surprise or getting people to request albums so we have a little extra spending money. But I've mentioned the website Cameo before, where celebrities will record personalized messages for you. Like, oh, happy birthday, or, congratulations on that A on your term paper, or whatever the
Oh,
fuck.
snap. Wait, do you want to get someone that we've, reviewed and see if they're on Cameo and make them, talk about our album?
No, I wasn't gonna say
show?
that. What I was gonna say was, I think there's 3 or 4 people from MadTV on there, and I think they're all really cheap.
Oh my god, wait, who? Oh my god. Who is it? If it's you're like fucking Ike Barinholtz or whatever,
I don't know who that is. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
No,
he's fine. He's fine. He was in Suicide Squad, so I'm actually happy to see any Mad TV people doing anything.
Off the top of my head, the 2 I remember off the jump are fucking Deborah Wilson and Phil Lamar, so...
Yes! Those are exactly the 2 we need. Alright, let's get this poppin'.
If we could get a shout out from Deborah Wilson or Phil Lamar,
I would shit myself. I love those motherfuckers so much. Going on a tangent, sorry.
See, and this is why I almost wanted to keep it as a surprise.
Phil Lamar and Deborah Wilson, they were 2 of my favorite fucking cast members. Deborah Wilson was absolutely fucking hilarious, and she was always the singer in whenever there was a skit that required a song. If you notice, it was always her voice that was doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's she was hilarious. She was always singing. She was funny, and she was always willing to go there for the joke. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I just saw someone who I was actually. The first time I looked through, I was like, oh, I didn't see them or whatever. But like a personal, oh, I'd love that. Fucking Paul Rubens, $250.
Yeah.
Yo.
Ain't worth it that much.
Can't do that, Paul.
Ain't my type of height.
Can't do that, Paul. That's a bit much. John Heater's even asking for $200. What?
We both win. Hold on, my guy. Wait, back up.
I'm fucking sorry. What?
Oh, hold on. You had Napoleon Dynamite, okay? That's not even that much of a fucking cult event, goddammit.
Sinbad's only asking for $60. Where do you get off?
He was in a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Come on.
Norm Macdonald is asking for $375. I'm sorry. Marlon Wayans is asking for $1,000.
What? Oh yeah, Marlon, say your iconic movie line.
Say something from White Chicks. Marlon, I almost called you fucking something else. Damn it. I did. Yeah. Oh no.
One of the other 8 Wayne's children.
Yeah. Oh no. Sean Waynes is also asking for $1,000.
Sean, no!
Get the fuck out of here! Stop it!
No! Marlon, maybe. Sean Wayne's, no. Name the iconic movie line. Come on, y'all. What's going on here? He's the straight man that all the jokes were built off of, even on the TV show. No. Well, okay, you know what? Maybe there's women out there, who loved the show back then, and they considered him a bit of a heartthrob. Maybe they got a little change in their purse. They wanted, I can see that. Because, he tried to pull the really sexy, he tried to be the sexy, flexy, straight man, back then. I caught him.
I hate going on this website because it just becomes... I'm just obsessed with looking and
evaluating whether or not their prices are worth their celebrity.
Is Pauly Shore, comedian and actor best known for his roles in Biodome and Encino Man,
no,
worth my $250?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
When I can spend $40 to get a shout out from Lori Beth Denberg.
I'm not
is that too much?
Who the fuck are you talking about?
Lori Beth Denberg! What? Lori Beth Denberg! Are you kidding me right now?
I feel like you're going fucking Jan Michael Vincent.
Dude, I was just gonna say
I
Jan
feel like
Michael
you're
Vincent.
going
What's that?
What, you don't know Jan Michael Vincent? Come on, Jan Michael Vincent.
No, fucking Lori Beth Denberg was like the librarian from All That, Vital Information sketch.
For your everyday life,
Yeah, that
oh my
Lori
God.
Beth Denberg. Before the Going Off podcast, and a big farewell to the shit fuck fire that was 2019. Until next year, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic, and have yourself a merry little non-denominational winter solstice event.